Many European tourists arrive in America with a long list of things they expect to hate. Food portions that are too large, people who are too loud, cities that are too chaotic, and a culture they believe exists only on the screen. But then, something completely unexpected happens. The people they were prepared to be cautious around become the ones who help them. The foreign accents they feared would be judged instead lead to countless conversations. The wide roads, endless choices, and deeply different communities make them realize that America is not a single image. And by the final day, many of them are no longer asking, why is America so different? They begin asking, why do I have to leave? This video will reveal what the real America does to turn skepticism into affection, and a vacation into a question about their own future.
We owe America a huge apology because America is nothing like what the media tells us. Everyone is so friendly, everyone is so accommodating, and I've honestly had the best time.
The America they were taught to fear. An apology like this would not exist unless there had first been a misunderstanding large enough to require it. So what did Europeans once think about America and America?
What's something that American tourists do that piss you guys off?
I think you guys are very loud. I mean, I'm sorry, but in Paris, you can spot Americans like
Really?
from
How?
America. I feel like you're a bit too much. Like
Okay.
in the way you talk and you dress and no, I'm sorry, not you. You're fine. You're fine. But also, Americans in Paris, they want to be like they're in Emily in Paris.
The main character vibe.
Yeah.
From the outside, American openness is often interpreted as showing off. Confidence is labeled as arrogance. Their willingness to start conversations with strangers is sometimes seen as a lack of subtlety. And those prejudices do not exist only in people's minds.
Americans, I don't drive Americans.
But I'm Chinese.
Yeah, but you're with him, and they're the most violent people on earth.
A person can be rejected before they even have the chance to introduce themselves, simply because an image of America has already been formed in advance. But where did those images come from?
So many of you reached out after my last video that I had to say this one more time. The media has been lying to you about America, and the World Cup just proved it. For years, European and Canadians have been fed the same narrative. America is dangerous, Americans are ignorant, the culture is shallow, the food will kill you, and people believed it. Why? Because they saw it on the news, they read it online, they never actually went. Then the World Cup came, and millions of people who had never set foot in the US suddenly showed up. And you know what they found? Friendly people, incredible energy, stadiums that blew their minds, hospitality they didn't even expect. Video after video of Europe.
For years, America was presented to Europe through crises, political controversies, and its worst moments. Those things may exist, but they are not the whole story. The missing part only appears when people actually set foot in America. Strangers offering help without being asked, amoured, conversations beginning for no particular reason, and the feeling of being welcomed even when they have only just arrived.
I've got to say, collectively, we owe the USA an apology. And when I say we, I mean the entire world. And that apology is needed purely because of how much judgment the world has thrown onto the US over the last few years. The American people are probably the most genuine, welcoming, humble people that I've ever met in my life. 100%, if you get the chance, go to the US and travel and see it for yourself. I promise you, you won't regret it.
That is when the apology takes on a different meaning. They do not simply realize that they misjudged a country. They realize that they judged millions of people through a story that was never fully told. And the real question now is, which version of America has been hidden from them for so long? The first crack in the story. Prejudice rarely...
Hey everyone, I'm American and I'm sorry about Donald Trump. I apologize. I really strongly apologize. I'm very, very sorry.
collapses because of a grand speech. It usually begins to crack in a very small moment, when a stranger turns toward you, smiles, and takes the initiative to say something you never expected. Many Europeans arrive in America with their guard up. They think their accents will cause others to judge them and that Americans are too busy to care about a newly arrived visitor. But the first thing they encounter is attention.
Hi there, how's it going? Do we know each other? Why is this person asking how I'm doing? Doesn't even know me.
An ordinary greeting can become the first crack in a story that has existed for years. For Americans, the question, "Where are you from?" is not merely a formality. It is an invitation to enter a conversation. The accent that visitors once feared would make them seem different suddenly becomes a key. One person asks about their homeland, another wants to know which sports team they support. Someone else recommends a dish they absolutely have to try.
Hey, how are you? I love your sweater.
Oh, thank you.
This looks so good.
I just got it. It's my favorite color, orange.
Oh, how's your day going?
It's going. How's yours?
Good. Let me give you a hug. All right, beautiful sweater.
Thank you.
All right, take care now.
Bye.
Okay.
The surprise now becomes deeper. It is no longer just a polite greeting before each person goes their separate way. Two people who have never met can stop, share their stories, laugh together, and end the conversation with a hug. In many places, a sense of belonging is built through family, neighborhoods, and years of familiarity. But in America, the first door often opens more quickly. It may not create a lifelong friendship, but it tells the newcomer, "I see you, you do not have to remain on the outside." And that is what makes these small moments so powerful. Americans do not simply act friendly. They make the person in front of them feel that their presence matters. Even when the encounter lasts only a few minutes.
What do you think you'll take away from your visit here in the United States, back to Germany?
Ranch. I love ranch. I tasted here and it's delicious. And I take 2 bottles with home, with me.
And may never happen again. Sometimes that welcome appears through food. A small bottle of sauce can become a memory of the entire trip because behind it is an enthusiastic local saying, "You have to try this." Americans want strangers to take a piece of their city home with them. But America does not merely allow Europeans to stand and observe, it also creates space for their culture to appear in the heart of America. A Swedish festival in New York is no longer only the story of one community. It becomes an invitation to the entire city. All it takes is an extended hand, and the boundary between stranger and participant immediately disappears. They came to see America. But before they had the chance to observe it from the outside, America had already drawn them into the conversation, into the dance, and into memories they never expected to carry home. The people who destroyed the stereotype. When people think about America, they often picture symbols too large to ignore: the White House, Hollywood, skyscrapers, or enormous stadiums. But those are not the things that directly break down European visitors' stereotypes. Those stereotypes begin to disappear when they meet ordinary Americans living their ordinary lives.
Come all the way from London for one of these famous sandwiches.
Ah, that's unbelievable. What are we going to make you today?
Can I get a chicken parm with vodka sauce?
I'll make it beautiful for you.
I'm ready.
Who's a beautiful young lady?
It's my fiance, Kelsey.
Kelsey, don't be afraid. Kelsey, get over here. How are you?
I'm good.
What are we making you for lunch?
An egg parm.
Eggplant parm? Yeah. Here's my boy. Come around.
When they first enter an American cultural space, their curiosity comes not only from the surroundings, the music, or the unfamiliar food. It also comes from the pride with which local people share all of those things. A dish is no longer just food. It comes with the story of a family that has preserved the recipe for generations. A style of music is not merely entertainment. It carries the history of a neighborhood. A local tradition is not displayed like an object in a museum. It is still alive through the people who continue to practice it every day. That is when visitors realize that America is not a single mass-produced culture. Texans, New Yorkers, Southerners, Midwesterners, and residents of immigrant communities all tell the stories of where they live in very different ways. And the people telling those stories are not politicians or celebrities. They may be restaurant owners, chefs, mothers taking their children shopping, or residents who have lived in the same neighborhood.
There's a pub in the supermarket. He is blown away that Harris Teeter has a pub. Place is definitely not real.
I just want to experience what it's going to feel like to actually walk into the stadium. It's like stepping into a fridge.
This place is absolutely insane. Bookies. There's like 60 different petrol pumps.
It's like Disney. This is my new favourite shop ever.
Their entire lives. The more they look, the more they discover that there is no single face that represents an American. On the same street, they may meet a family that has lived there for generations, a recently arrived immigrant who owns a store, and young people whose identities are shaped by several different cultural backgrounds. They speak with different accents, they eat different foods, they preserve different traditions, but none of them has to completely abandon the past in order to be called American. This is what truly causes the old image to collapse. America is not united because everyone is the same. America exists because different people can still build a shared life together, and every day these ordinary people represent their country without even realizing it. A restaurant owner tells the story of a family, a sports fan gives up a seat, a resident explains a neighborhood tradition, a worker spends a few extra minutes helping a visitor understand the place where they are standing. They do not deliver speeches about America, they live its story. Americans do more than change the way visitors see a country. Through every face and every very different story, they help outsiders realize that here, being different does not necessarily make someone an outsider. Sometimes that very difference is what helps a person find their place in America. Freedom. You can feel Europeans often laugh at things that feel unmistakably American. A drink larger than usual, a store so vast that they could get lost inside, or a menu that allows them to change almost every ingredient. But sometimes those seemingly excessive details lead to a deeper realization. At first, the surprise is simply about the size. A pizza can be so large that it looks like it was made for an entire party. For European visitors, it is a funny and almost unbelievable moment. But what stands out is not only that America makes everything bigger. Customers are also asked how much they want, what they would like to add or remove, and whether they want to take the leftovers home. Here, a dish rarely comes in only one fixed version. Customers can change the size, crust, toppings, and sauce. The system does not force everyone to adapt to the same choice. It is designed to accommodate different needs. That feeling becomes even clearer when they walk into a supermarket. A familiar product may come in dozens of flavors and sizes. Something that occupies only a small corner elsewhere may stretch across an entire aisle in America. At first, too many choices can feel overwhelming. But behind that confusion lies a deeply American message. Not everyone wants the same thing, lives at the same pace, or needs the same solution. Someone working the night shift can still find a meal after the city has gone to sleep. Someone with specific dietary needs can adjust a dish to suit them. Choice, therefore, is no longer merely a matter of consumption. It creates the feeling of being respected as an individual. Every question of which one would you like acknowledges that your needs do not necessarily have to be the same as those of the person beside you. And after a few days, visitors realize that this way of thinking does not stop at the food counter. Americans move to new cities, change careers, return to school, or start over after failure without treating their first decision as their final destiny. That is when a cereal aisle or a pizza begins to carry a deeper meaning. If a meal can be adjusted to suit personal preferences, perhaps a life does not have to remain in its original form either. What fascinates them is not the enormous pizza or the entire wall of choices. It is the feeling that life is not something handed to you in a fixed form that must be accepted as it is. It can be adjusted and sometimes begun again. America does not merely ask them what they want to eat. It makes them begin to ask who they want to become. A country built for motion, Europeans know that America is vast. They have seen it on maps and in movies. But knowing how large a country is completely different from actually traveling across it. Only when they sit in a car driving for hours on the highway do they begin to feel that scale. The road stretches all the way to the horizon. The sky opens so wide that it almost seems to have no edge. City signs appear one after another and then disappear, while ahead there are still more exits and more places yet to be seen. In Europe, history often stands close to people. Old streets, small squares, and cities built over centuries make everything feel dense and already shaped. America creates a different feeling. Here, space constantly suggests that there is still room to keep going. A drive can begin among skyscrapers, pass through plains, cross mountains, and end by the ocean. Within a single journey, the climate changes, the accents change, the food changes, and even the pace of life changes. Each state feels like a different chapter of the same book, distinct enough to make people feel as though they have entered a new world, yet familiar enough to remind them that they have not left America. And that is when the vastness begins to take on a deeper meaning. If one city does not fit, there is still another. If one job ends, there is still another market. If one community makes people feel trapped, there is still another place where they can try again. Physical space gradually becomes mental space. Distance is no longer merely something to overcome. It becomes proof that life still holds many possible directions. Perhaps that is why the road trip became such an American symbol. On the road, people can change their route, stop somewhere that was never part of the plan, or take an exit simply out of curiosity. They can get lost and still discover a new destination. And in a country built around movement, changing direction does not necessarily mean failure. Sometimes it is exactly how a different life begins. America does not promise that every road will be easy, but it makes people feel that the first road was never the only one. Beyond every horizon, there is still another place, another community, and another chance to rewrite the next chapter. But America does not only give people room to move. What is even more remarkable is that at the end of an unfamiliar road, it often gives them a place to belong. The nation of reinvention. Perhaps America's deepest appeal lies not in what visitors see, but in what they begin to imagine about themselves while standing here. In many places, people are often defined by what came before, who their family is, where they were born, which school they attended, what they do for a living, and which community they belong to. These things shape their history and identity, but sometimes they can also make a person feel that their place in life was decided too early. America asks a different question. Not only where do you come from, but also who are you trying to become? That question can be found in very ordinary lives. Someone who once washed dishes can open a restaurant of their own. Someone who loses a job can return to school. A family that leaves its homeland with only a few suitcases can build a business and give its children choices that previous generations never had. Not every story ends in success. America does not guarantee that every door will open simply because someone works hard. But this country often gives people something even more important: the right to try again without treating the first failure as a final sentence. Here, a career does not necessarily have to become a lifelong identity. A city does not have to be the only place a person is meant to live. A mistake does not have to become the entire story. People can change direction at 30, 40, or 50. They can begin again when others believe it is already too late. This can also be seen in the way America receives newcomers. A shop owner may speak English with the accent of an old homeland, sell family recipes, and hang an American flag outside the door. Their child may grow up between two languages, two traditions, and two ways of seeing the world without necessarily having to abandon one in order to belong to the other. In America, a new identity does not always replace the old one. It can be built alongside it. The past still explains where a person began, but it does not necessarily determine how far they are allowed to go. That is what fascinates many European visitors. They do not simply see people who have changed careers, cities, or living circumstances. They see a society that is accustomed to people rewriting their own stories. And then the journey begins to feel more personal. They start wondering what their own lives might look like if they tried a different path. Could they start a business, move to a new city, leave a job that no longer fits, become a version of themselves less limited by what others once expected? Perhaps that is why foreigners do not simply like America. For a few brief days, they begin to imagine a different version of themselves here. Why nobody wants to leave. By the final day, the hotel room looks completely different. The things that were once scattered across the table now have to be packed back into the suitcase. A bottle of sauce, a few bags of candy, a team jersey, used tickets, and small gifts from people they have only just met. Everything can be packed away, but the feeling America leaves behind is not so easy to contain. They are not reluctant to leave simply because they have not tried every dish they wanted, bought enough things, or photographed every city they once saw in movies. Those things made the trip exciting, but they are not enough to explain why the road to the airport suddenly feels so heavy. What makes them unwilling to leave is that, in a very short time, America has made them feel as though they are not complete outsiders. A stranger asked where they were from and genuinely waited to hear the answer. A local took the time to show them where they should go. A family pulled another chair up to the table. A crowd made them feel included, even though they did not speak with the same accent or grow up with the same traditions. Those moments may seem small, but when they happen often enough, they create a rare feeling, the feeling of being seen. They came to America as tourists, but little by little they stopped merely observing from the outside. They were asked what they wanted to eat, where they wanted to go, and what they wanted to experience. They were given the freedom to choose. They were allowed to be curious. They were left alone when they wanted to be different and welcomed in when they wanted to participate. Then the wide roads, the different cities, and the lives being rebuilt around them began to inspire a larger thought. Perhaps life does not have only one direction. Perhaps a career, a city, or old expectations do not have to determine an entire future. That is why, when the journey ends, they are not simply leaving a country. They are leaving behind the version of themselves that emerged here, more open, less guarded, and more willing to believe that many possibilities still lie ahead. America also leaves them with a sense of something unfinished. They have traveled through a few cities, but dozens of states remain unseen. They have encountered several communities, but they understand that they have only touched the surface. Every discovery opens the door to many more. Perhaps that is why they say they will return before the plane has even taken off. Inside their luggage are sauces, clothes, and souvenirs. But what they truly want to carry home is the feeling that a country they were once taught to approach with caution treated their presence not as an inconvenience, but as something worthy of welcome. They are not sad merely because the vacation is over. They are sad because they have just discovered a side of America that no one had ever told them about. In the end, what European travelers brought home was not just souvenirs, but an unforgettable truth. The America they experienced in real life was larger, warmer, and filled with more possibilities than the stories they had been told. This country is not perfect, but it was ordinary Americans who made them feel seen, welcomed, and free to imagine a different life. What about you? What makes you most proud of America? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to continue discovering the stories that the media often overlooks, subscribe to the channel and join us in the next video.